Buenas tardes, una vez más, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros en esto que es Ké Pasa aquí de El Mexicano, news.com y Radio Latino, esto es Ké Pasa. Yo soy Fernando Zápari, como siempre, aquí con nuestros buenos amigos Tim Sink, Marcela Zápari y su servidor Fernando Zápari. El día de hoy, today, we have a very special guest, Wayne Williams. He's the one coordinating or putting together the Fort Wayne March for Justice, and this is going to be held at Headwaters Park this Saturday, April 14, from 1 to 4 p.m. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. Tell us more about the Fort Wayne March for Justice. Why are we doing it? And tell us the reason. One city, one people, one voice.
Well, it started off with the shooting of Trayvon Martin. A lot of people were talking about it, but it almost felt as if the only people who were doing most of the talking were people of color, specifically black folks. Mm-hmm. And that tends to happen a lot whenever we have community issues. Mm-hmm. Let's say, for example, something happens in the Burmese community. Mm-hmm. Typically, it's the Burmese people who keep saying that, hey, something is wrong, something needs to change, and everybody else just sort of are real quiet about it. I don't know if it's this polite thing that we're taught. Mm-hmm. And that bothered me because, there are obviously a lot of people across racial lines that felt that what happened was wrong. However, many people didn't feel empowered to talk about it. I'm not sure if they felt that talking about it would cause, they'd say the wrong thing, mm-hmm. but they just didn't talk about it. And so what was starting to happen is this was starting to become more of a race thing, mm-hmm. versus, a child was just stalked and murdered. And I wanted to shed some light on that. And what I did was I attended various rallies that people were having, and I got something from some of them, but for most of them it felt as if people were coming to complain about things, but then there were no action plans afterwards. Mm-hmm. And so a couple Saturdays ago I had attended a rally that was held in Fryman Square, and there weren't a lot of people there. There were about 50 people. Mm-hmm. The group was very diverse, and that was good to see. However, most of the people in the group were concerned that we were only represented by 50 people. And so I sort of challenged the group to, go back and plan and come back and have a bigger rally. And this wouldn't be something where, you come and make a whole bunch of noise. It would be something where you actually came to, and people got diverse group of people across religious lines, across ethnic lines, across cultural lines, just getting people together to talk about issues that seem to be bothering us. We all have issues that bother us, and racial profiling is one of the big ones. I know the Latino community suffers from that significantly, the Black community suffers from that, and there are other communities that suffer significantly from that. And whenever it's addressed, it's usually addressed from that community's perspective. But here's a chance for us all to come together and say, okay, we recognize that this is happening and none of us will put up with it.
One city, one people, one voice. We had great leaders over the history. Mother Teresa always preaching about love. We had Gandhi. We had Cesar Chavez, and of course we had the great champion of civil rights, Martin Luther King. We're in 2012, and we're still seeing these things. It's incredible. People fleeing their countries, going into another country. I don't get it. We still have, we had the greatest leader of all, Jesus Christ, preaching, telling us about love, about God, and we're still fighting, we're still persecuting people. There's a very famous phrase by a very famous person. It says, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that really matter. And that was said by great leader Martin Luther King. So the easiest thing for us to do is accept things the way they are, and really, like I was telling my friend Tom Landowski, I don't think we're here for that reason. We're here to make a difference. Tell us more about the event on Saturday.
Well, the event, we hope, will draw a variety of people, a diverse group, and from the looks of things, it looks like that's what's going to happen. We've invited all the candidates who are running for office. We've invited them to be a part of that event, and whether or not they show up, that's going to be on them. And I think we've tried to include as many people as we possibly can. Granted that we only had 2 weeks to plan, so that's made it real difficult. We've across religious line, we've invited individuals from the Muslim faith, from the Buddhist faith, and from the Christian faith to speak. We've invited individuals from the Latino community, from the African American community, from the white community. We've invited individuals from, it's a diverse group of individuals. But we hope that this will provide the opportunity for us all to sit, have conversations, come up with strategies, and so that in the future, whenever we have issues happen in Fort Wayne, because we know there's been several issues in Fort Wayne where there just has not been what we term justice, and we want to make sure that whenever that happens, there's a group of individuals who can come together and say, okay, we need to stand up for this.
And this is this Saturday.
This is this Saturday,
April 14th, from 1 to 4 p.m. Headwaters Park, Fort Wayne. One city, one people, one voice to end racial profiling now. Like I was saying, 2012, we still have these issues. After we had so many great people, great leaders, Mother Teresa again, Gandhi, Cesar Chavez, and of course Martin Luther King. And we still had wars going on all over the place. It's incredible. But the only force really capable of transforming an enemy into a friend is what you're doing.
Yes.
It's through love. This is a peaceful rally, and that was another beautiful phrase that I borrowed from a great man, Martin Luther King. Yes, love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into friends.
Yes, it is, and what's funny is that there's so much more that connects us than divides us. I mean, we're divided over silly things like skin color, and we have so much more in common. But people don't get to know that because I feel like this country in particular has allowed us to we fit into certain boxes. Oh, you're Hispanic, you're Latino, you go in this box. And if we have this characteristic that, I think that's gonna fit you, we throw it onto that box, and and that's not the way it is. We know that there is so much more we have in common as members of the human race that we don't explore, and we fail to explore them because we get caught up behind some imaginary lines that we draw.
If you had a minute or 60 seconds to talk, 60 seconds, you're running to the elevator and seeing our great president, Barack Obama, what would you suggest that we need to do different? It's a tough question, but we only got 60 seconds, 1 minute. What would you tell him about this?
I think the president, I would definitely appeal to the fact that he has grown up in a country where he's seen what his color has meant to him and what people of color have had to endure. And now that he's in a position of power, I understand that you have to be able to build relationships with individuals in power so you can get the vote. But I I also think that there are certain things that he, even as a person of color, cannot talk about during a campaign. Otherwise, he will never get elected. But I think if he does get in for a second term, I definitely tell him he needs to be more vocal. He needs to address this, because so many presidents before him have just let it go and have not addressed it. And here he is as a member of a disenfranchised group in a position of power. He's going to be one who needs to make that change, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to make him unpopular. But in 50 years from now, when we look back at him in history, it would have made a difference. And I know he has Sasha and Malia, and he definitely, I would hope that he'd want to see them grow up in a world that I want my boys to grow up in.
Wayne, no, again, I'm going to repeat this phrase. I look to a day when people would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Okay? But also, many of us are judged by the accent that we have. You know, we start talking and, oh, wait a minute, this gentleman, he's not, oh, yeah, you know. Yeah, we are. What do you think? I mean, great leaders like Cesar Chavez, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, what would they do? Do you think I mean, if they come back and they see where we at after all these sacrifices they went through, I mean, great sacrifices, okay, they dedicated their lives. But it seems to me like we still
I think
don't get it.
I think we found creative ways of masking what has always existed and what still exists. You know,
I like that.
Yes,
I like that mask.
Yeah, you know, you're not going to see people out of the street calling you. They may not call you derogatory term to your face and so forth, and they may not be outright with the way they manifest, you know, their racism or the racial profiling, but it exists and it's built into the laws, and that's where again. Some might say to the president, because it's not just about somebody coming on an individual basis and saying something to you that you feel is just you know, racist remark. It's when the laws. I mean, if you take a look at our prisons, and when you look at the percentage of, let's say, for African Americans, I've looked at this percentage in pretty much every single state. You know, a lot of there are states where they're in, you know, less than 10% of the population, but in the prison population, they're less than 50%.
That's right.
The Latino rate is 3 times the amount as whites, and so then the logical question you have to ask is: are, you know, people of color just more violent than whites? And how do you answer that? You look at the people of color that you know. Let me see. Is Fernando? I know Fernando. Is he more violent? You know, no. And if that doesn't make sense, then you have to ask the question. Then why is it that if the people of color that I know aren't more violent, why is it that there's such a great amount of them in our jail system? And that's when you get to the truth, is that the laws are so set up that people of color tend to get caught in the crosshairs, and then they're the ones filling up the prison system. And what impact does that have when young men are being thrown in jail for, you know, sometimes very petty offenses, but then what does that do to the family? Those communities where you have single mothers who are not raising the children and so forth. So I think we definitely need to look at the laws and the impact it's having on these populations.
You know, it's very interesting. I could tell you my story, Wayne, and Marcela, one of the camera people here with us, could, you know, attest to that. Our grandfather was Italian. I was born in Mexico. She was born in Mexico, and in San Diego, I'm sorry. Grandfather was Italiano on my father's side. But on my mother's side, our grandfather was African Mexican. I always say African Mexican, but he was black. But we don't have such things in Mexico, we do have people of Asian, look like Asian-looking people. We have Indians. We have, I can say, white folks or Irish descendants. We have, name it. We got all kinds of colors, but we do not categorize people by, okay, you're African Mexican, you're Indian Mexican, you're a white Mexican. No, everybody's just a Mexican.
Mexican, that's right.
It is the same. I think that's what we need to do here.
Exactly.
Here in this country.
I agree.
This, like, again, at the center of nonviolence stands the principle of love. And we still trying to decipher, we're still trying to figure that out. We're still trying to be the most powerful in the world. We're still trying to see who's got the biggest gun on us, or the 9mm. It seems that violence is just all around us. And what we need more is we need more people like yourself. We need more people like Mother Teresa, which I'm a big admirer of Mother Teresa. We need more people like, of course, Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King.
Don't forget the good work you're doing in the community as well.
We need more people like our good friends back there, Tom Landowski. We need more like the Jan Suarez, a great community leader, which he passed away last week, and we buried him yesterday. We need more like the Bill Clemens, okay, where we really don't see alcohol. When you touch such a very true subject, everybody in the community suffers. We all suffer. Even the people that's hateful suffer. You know, why would you want to live a life? Would you want to live a life like that, hating our brother or our sister because he or she talks that way,
it's just gonna be hard.
He or she is that color? It's gonna make your life
miserable,
man. Yeah. Hating someone instead of enjoying every day, getting up and be thankful for, you know, all the things that we have around us. You know, some people say, "Well, I don't have the money." Well, money is part of it. Money is not everything. I tell you, money is just a little. It just depends on our perception of, you know, what's important for us. Again, thank you so much for being here with us.
Appreciate you having me.
And thank you so much for what you're doing. It's going to have an impact in the whole community. Whatever we can do to help, well, that's what we're here for, Mr. Williams. And remember, you see, our lives begin to fade, to end the day that we become silent about things that really matter. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Esto fue Ké Pasa aquí en el Mexicano Newspaper, RadioLatinoTV.com. Yo soy Fernando Zápari con mi buen amigo Wayne Williams. Thank you so much.
Gracias.
Thank you, brother.